What's going on, guys? I'm Exotic Gaming, and welcome back to some more PUBG Mobile. Now, a couple of days ago, I got this thing sent to me. This cool little thingy. This looks really weird, to be honest, but this thing is a phone controller, and you essentially attach this onto your phone, and it basically turns your phone into a controller. Like, if you've seen an Xbox controller before, or a PlayStation controller before, you have an aiming trigger, you have a firing trigger, and this one works surprisingly well. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've never really bothered looking into controllers before for PUBG or pretty much any other mobile game, and I thought I'd give this one a shot. This one was sent to me by the company GameSir. If you want to check it out for yourself, I'll have links to it down below in the description. But before you leave the freaking video and start clicking on the link yourself, you might want to stay around because I'm going to show you all some Handcam gameplay of myself using this thing. Whoops. God dang it, I hit my microphone every freaking video. I'm going to be using it, Handcam gameplay, in PUBG Mobile, and we'll see how it plays out. I'll let you know whether or not it's even worth your money. Anyways, yeah, with that being said, make sure to leave a like if you want to see more Handcam gameplay in PUBG Mobile, and with that being said, let's get into this. Alright, so here's like an up-close look at this thing, really briefly. This thing is called the Falcon, so that, I guess, sort of looks like a falcon in a way with its wings spread out. You can stretch it to fit over basically any phone. Obviously, it's not going to work over like an iPad or something. You have your default triggers, left and right, just like, as I said, it's going to essentially turn it into a controller. And then on top of that, you have these other buttons right there, and they're called the selectors, and those are very interesting. I'm going to talk about those in just a second because it's actually really, really cool. Now, listen to what these things sound like actually first. I love what those buttons sound like. They sound very nice and crisp, and that's pretty important, I guess you have to say. And then this thing folds up into this very compact thing. You can adjust it to whatever type of device size that you have, and it's very portable. I mean, look at it compared to my Razer phone. It's tiny. It's great. This is something you can bring on a plane and forget about that it's even in your pocket. Has USB-C to charge, and yeah, that's basically it. Let's get into the Handcam gameplay. Alright, guys, so this is what the controller looks like attached to my Razer phone. Doesn't it look pretty cool? I have to say so. It doesn't even look like a phone anymore. It's absolutely crazy. But hey, on a side note, something that's even more important. How does my Handcam gameplay look? I hope it looks okay. I wanted to try to minimize all of the reflections on the screen because I do know my past videos that I did Handcam-wise, it just wasn't very good. And I hope this one suits your needs. I hope it's the best possible quality that we can get. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. Talking about the controller, though, first things first, it's very, very comfortable. I was a little worried when I was using this thing that it was not going to be comfortable at all, but I would say pretty much anybody who has a normal-sized phone is going to have the same level of comfort that I have. Very comfortable. I don't have to, like, reach my fingers way far out of the way to press the buttons. It's nice. It's nice, and you get used to it very, very quickly. Talking about how used to it you can get in such a short amount of time, I'm probably the least experienced person in the entire world when it comes to controllers. The gameplay that you are watching right now is after about 2 hours of practice. That's it, okay? I didn't practice for 24 hours straight or some ridiculous amount of time. Only 2 hours. And I do not have an Xbox. I do not have a PlayStation. I don't use those controllers ever. I have never used a controller on a phone before. So I am basically completely new to controllers, period. And this is how good I can play only after about 2 hours of gameplay. So, for you, if you are watching this and you're like, oh god, I don't know if I'm going to play very good. No, stop it. Shut up, okay? You will play perfectly fine, and you might even learn how to use this even quicker than I do, depending on how often you use controllers. So, that's one great thing. It's something that you can pick up very, very quickly. A couple of benefits to this thing. I notice when I'm shooting at long range, I actually have better recoil control. Like, I can use an AKM and shoot all the way across these long stretches of this map here and have no issue at all killing people fully automatic with a weapon that has a very high recoil. It's a little bit better than when I'm using the simple touchscreen. So if you are somebody who has a little bit of issue with recoil control, especially with weapons like the M762 or the AKM, this might be something that you want to consider getting because it actually helps with that just a bit. Not like a massive amount, right? But just a bit. so you can actually use those weapons a little bit more efficiently when you're in longer ranged scenarios. And then on top of that, okay, maybe this isn't the same for everybody, but I'm the type of person where I'm using a phone to play a video game and my hand sweats so much. It's really, really bad, to be honest. You might even see the sweat marks on the controller. With my Razer phone that you're seeing in this video here, like, it overheats so fast, and literally within 10 minutes of playing, it's already making my hands sweat. But the thing is, I am kind of holding my phone a little bit looser when I'm using this controller, so my hands are like less on the phone. That's the best way I can describe it. My hands, at least my firing and aiming buttons, are on the triggers, and that thing isn't overheating. The controller doesn't overheat at all. So, I mean, I can actually be a lot more accurate, at least with my aiming and firing, than I would with normally, where my entire screen is like 300 degrees and I'm trying to aim, fire, jump, run, everything on a super hot screen. So if you have an issue with your hands sweating and your phone overheating a lot, sometimes when it overheats or you sweat, you accidentally press a firing button when you don't want to, or your aiming button just doesn't work sometimes because the sweat is messing with your screen, you might want to get something like this because it solves that issue, because the controller does not misclick. You do misclick, the controller does not. Okay? Now, you might notice how I have my left blue button as my aiming button and my right blue button as my firing button. If you look up at the top of my, my screen there, I can actually barely make out that I have the aiming button underneath the L and the firing button underneath the R. That just makes sense for me. The left one is aim, right one is fire, and then simple as that, I'm able to kill people very easily. But you have complete customization to whatever button you want. So if you have a burning desire to want to make sprint as your right blue button, for example, you can do that. There's nothing that's stopping you from that. So you could customize it to whatever you want, and that's another nice thing about these types of controllers. Now, let's talk about the turbo buttons, those black buttons at the very top of the controller in this video right now. I'm not using them in this gameplay because I'm using my SCAR, fully automatic weapon. Those buttons are for burst weapons, and it's actually very cool. There aren't too many burst weapons in PUBG Mobile, but there are other games that like entirely rely on burst weapons, and these things are really freaking cool. So you have three different firing modes for this controller, okay? Right now, what you're seeing is when I am pressing the right blue button, you might notice how the controller lights up green. There's a little green light that shows up every time I press the right blue button, and that is green mode, I'm going to call it, okay? With green mode, if I were to be using a burst weapon instead of my SCAR, it would shoot one time. It's just like if you were to press your screen one time, 3 bullets are going to come out with a burst fire weapon. That's it, okay? But if I were to press the black button on the right-hand side one time, it's going to turn into yellow mode. And with yellow mode, it's going to simulate pressing your button on your screen twice super fast. So when you're using a burst weapon, all you gotta do is press the blue button one time and 6 bullets come out instead of just 3. And then the third mode is red mode, and it's going to shoot out 9 bullets with one single button press. So you're basically turning your burst weapon into almost a fully automatic thing, and it's super easy to control. Again, as I said, way more accurate. It's awesome. I mean, it's really freaking cool. The fact that you can actually customize it so you can turn a burst weapon into a way more effective thing than you would normally when you're simply just tapping your screen a bunch of times trying to make your burst weapon into a fully automatic thing. So if you play any games that have a lot of burst mode weapons, then that might actually be a determining factor whether or not you even want to get this thing, because that's really cool. I don't think a lot of controllers have that, and this one does it really freaking well. But overall, there's not that much else I could possibly talk about this thing. I mean, it stretches out a lot. So, even though my Razer phone isn't the biggest phone in the entire world, you could have a much bigger device, a much fatter device, I guess you could say, and it still would wrap around that thing. I would go as far to say that it gets close to going around an iPad mini. Not quite. It's not big enough to fit around an iPad mini, and probably you wouldn't even be playing like I am playing in this Handcam gameplay with the iPad mini, but it gets close to it. So, you know, if you have basically any phone to play a game like PUBG Mobile, this is going to fit over your phone. I have noticed if you have a case that raises up over the screen, it's not going to work. That's because obviously when you're pressing the blue buttons on this controller, it needs to be able to touch the screen. So if you have this big case, it's not going to work. So keep that in mind. You might have to like take off your case if you have a case that's too thick from your phone. So just keep that in mind. But other than that, I mean, from the gameplay that you're seeing right here, I am very, very happy with how I am playing. I got this thing and I was a little worried. I thought, oh man, it is really gonna be hard to get good gameplay. And, you know, I can't just like make a review and suck the whole time, because 1 minute into it, people are gonna be like, well, what's the point? He sucks. He's not good. So why would I get this thing? But I think I'm doing very well. I'm actually very happy with how my gameplay is. Very good recoil control. Overall, it feels comfortable. And I think I actually would go as far to say that it might even make my gameplay better in time than just using my simple thumb controls. If you're playing with a thumb or claw method, I should say, if you use the claw method, you might actually play better with this. And if you're playing with thumbs, yeah, you probably will play better with this as well. It's always good to have less of your fingers covering your screen and making your gameplay a bit more atmospheric. So, yeah, that basically overall wraps things up. We're gonna get one last kill. Come on, come on. Can we get one last kill in the gameplay? It's this guy. And there we go. We got the win. A ridiculous amount of kills as well. So, should you get this thing? Should you get the GameSir mobile controller, the Falcon as it's called? Well, I'm not going to say it's entirely necessary. Like every single person watching this video, I'm not going to say rush out and get this thing because this is going to completely transform your gameplay. But there are certain scenarios where I think this thing is going to make you play better than you would normally with just the simple touchscreen. As I said before, if you have issues with recoil control, this might be something you want to consider getting. And if you're somebody who has your phone overheat a lot, it sweats a lot, or not your phone, your phone does not sweat a lot. But if you sweat when you're playing a mobile game, and sometimes when you're pressing on the screen and your phone starts glitching out because it's like there's water on the screen and the firing button and the aiming button don't work properly, yeah, this might be something you want to get, because those little buttons, they don't mess up. No matter how much you're sweating, and no matter how much your screen is overheating, this thing will not mess up, whereas your hands might. So, yeah, those are probably two pretty good scenarios where I think this is something you might want to consider getting. Also, if you're a pro player, this might also be a great thing to get. Or if you're somebody who's even trying to improve your gameplay a little bit more, because you might want to sacrifice a little bit of money to get something that's going to make your gameplay the best it can possibly be. Plus, I mean, you might as well at least try this thing out and see if it makes you any better than you would play normally with the standard claw method. So, I don't know. Hey, links for this thing are down below in the description. I think it's definitely something you want to check out, read more into it, and yeah, I don't think you're going to be disappointed if you get this thing. So, with that being said, that's it. We are out of time. I hope you all did enjoy this video. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the Handcam gameplay. I would greatly appreciate it. I tried to make it look as nice as I possibly could, so let me know down below what you thought. And subscribe to my channel for lots more PUBG content coming out very soon. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you all later.